In Mumbai, as usual, when there was a miracle, I was invited to the Delhi studio to explain the miracle. I didn't take it very serious. It was a silly miracle. Because his crucifix started releasing water from the feet. I made some jokes. I said, humans would release water through by tears or urination or sweat or other things, but nobody would produce water from the feet. So, I made real jokes at the whole program. But the priest as well as the representative of the church so vehemently argued that it's a miracle. I said it's just common sense that a statue would not produce water like that. So they said, you believe in empirical evidences and without personally studying, you come into conclusions. Okay, I said, I'll come. 5 days later, they invited me. In fact, a television channel cooperated and the church paid my ticket so that I could go there and study it. But that was a trap they have been making. Because they have been sensitive about many other things which I have been doing earlier. One was the recent sainthood of a nun from the district I came from, Sister Alfonsa, a common nun, but suddenly she became a saint. Why? Because a lame boy has crossed her burial place and started walking, they claimed. Miracle. And the importance was very interesting because this particular district, since, as you know, the number of nuns all around the world are coming so much drastically down. And more than 50% of the nuns of the world are coming from India. And 95% of the nuns exported from India are coming from this tiny district of Kerala. And there a nun was made a saint. And there are so many Catholic schools in this district. All young girls were dressed up like nuns and demonstrated the streets as in the dress of nuns. And I wrote an article. The only person perhaps countered that thing in Outlook magazine, one of the most powerful magazines in India, and I said, this is a recruitment drive for future. And I called the article non-exportable. And of course, when Pope John Paul visited India, he said, in the first millennium, we have harvested our faith in Europe. The second millennium, we harvested our faith in Americas and Africa. And the third millennium, we expect to harvest our faith in Asia, especially India. In a public meeting, he said it. 2 hours later, I responded in another channel. I said, we would resist it most vehemently with the most powerful weapon that civilization has, which is known as common sense. We would stop it. And of course, this was not taken kindly, and they've been looking for an opportunity. When I went to the Mumbai church, I waited there because there was a prayer going on in front of this crucifix. Before I came, the dripping of water has a little bit stopped. I don't know how. But still they had collected water, and in between they have distributed this water for people in their palm to lick. Brought to me also. I said, can I get a little sample of it for chemical analysis? They said, no, you can take it in your hand only. I refused to take it. But people were licking it. And after the whole prayer was over, the priest comes and gives me a hammer. I said, why? So why don't you go and hit the statue and see if there is water trapped inside? I knew that was a trap. Because if I hit the statue, they would take a photograph and they would immediately say that we didn't allow it. So that's a different crime. Altogether, I tried to smite their statue. I said, I don't want it. Why don't one of your boys dig up the floor? He said, no, we don't want it. Rather, I looked around and found that the wall behind it was very, very wet. It was just 1 feet away only. There was algae there. And there was another wall just on the side, which was 8 feet high, a little higher than the statue, its crucifix. That was also very wet. I went inside, looked for what's this, and found that the wall there is also totally wet. And there is nothing at the top. Then I looked for what's the source of this water, and very soon I found a toilet there, which had some water going on through a pipe. And where would this pipe go? It would go very close to this wall, And under this thing, it goes under the statue to the main drainage system. Okay, then I found a small flat stone which was covering this drainage line. I opened it. Suddenly one had to close the nose. It was stinky like anything. It was clogged water, which perhaps clogged for so many days. Quite a lot of water. And suddenly I understood what was happening. The clogged water, when water cannot go forward, further down, it climbs through the pores. That's known as capillary action, which one studies in our school. I wanted to reconfirm it. I took photographs of all the small things along with my colleagues. And I went and I found that the statue's feet and the cross has 2 inches distance and there is a nail going on. I tried to touch the nail. It was wet. Above it, it was not wet. With the feet, it was wet. Very clear for me. I took photographs, close photographs of it. But I refused to give an answer there. What was it? Because I didn't want to provoke the crowd. Rather, I asked them, why don't you come to the evening television program to join me and defend your position? I would explain. I don't have to come out with a decision now. I would like to study it, understand it, and explain with my position in the evening. Of course, in the television program, 9 o'clock prime time, millions of people have been visiting. Of course, it was announced also. I explained with my charts and photographs and everything, what was it? How the clogged water has been climbing with evidences of the wall and everything. And there was a shock silence for some time from their side. Then the pandemonium began. They started shouting at me. A chorus began. They were hysteric. 5 people on the other side. The priest, the trustee, some lawyer, some organizations leaders, all coming from the church. And me alone on the other side. I could not speak much. As usual, I use my weapon, laughing. And whenever possible, I explain that this cannot be a miracle, this is it. And then, to my surprise, after 30 minutes, the Bishop of Mumbai, auxiliary bishop, wants to join the program. He telephones and he wants to get involved in the program. He comes in and he says that you are ignorant. That's the first statement he uses. I said, okay, fine. What's the matter? It could be, need not be a miracle, but miracles really happen. I said, look, what you speak is what is known as miracle mongering. Because every time when a saint is declared, there are 2 miracles attributed minimum. When Mother Teresa was declared a saint, it is not because of any work that she has done, but because a lady named Monica Besra told that her tumor has grown because she put a photograph of Mother Teresa on the stomach and prayed. Of course, she has been going to a hospital and had a surgery before that. And of course, and she made a wonderful English statement and saint who was illiterate. And Mother Teresa was made a saint. And there are 10,000 saints in the Catholic hierarchy. 20,000 miracles at least officially declared. So I would call this miracle mongering, and the bishop was very angry. You are insulting my religion. I said no. I would rather say that once you apologize for such mistakes, I would rather like to forget it, like John Paul II has done. He has apologized for any of these mistakes. He said, but you have to understand that we have been promoting science, and that is why there is science, and you speak about science now. Again, I could not stop laughing. I said, well, I don't answer that thing. Rather, I would invoke 2 witnesses from history. They would answer the position. And one would be Galileo Galilei. The second would be Leonardo Bruno. And Bishop was very furious, of course. And at the end of the program, again this is on the YouTube, I was asked of dire consequences if I don't apologize for whatever I said. I said whatever I said primarily was this was not a miracle. This was just a plumbing problem. That has been an insult to our religion. You should apologize right now. I said, I don't. The bishop also insists that I should apologize. And apologize that should come from somebody who thinks he has done something wrong. I think I have done something very right. In fact, I helped you stop distributing this dirty water thinking that it's holy water. You should rather thankful to me. So the open program, they say that you will see the dire consequences this night itself. You will not see sunlight again. We will put you in prison. We know how to handle the legal system. They say the live television program. I didn't take it very serious. I really did not take it serious because 30 years I've been working in this field. I'm very well known in the country. I'm a very well known writer in the country. And I'm on the national television so regularly. But the newspaper started reporting about 17 complaints filed against me, of which 3 have been accepted by this Article 295A. In this 295A, I spoke with my lawyers. I understood that this law has 2 provisions. Number 1, it's cognizable. Means anybody accused of this law can be arrested without an arrest warrant. One need not go to court of law to get an arrest warrant. Number 2, it's non-bailable. Means there is no guarantee of a bail unless court explicitly gives a bail. I talked to very senior lawyers in my country. Some of them are defending me, and they said that the immediate legal remedy is very simple, that you should go to the High Court of Delhi and apply for an anticipatory bail. Don't go to a lower court but to a high court, because if I go to a lower court and by chance it's denied, the police can be waiting outside and arrest you immediately, so that your chance to go for an anticipatory bail is denied. That's how it works in India. I went to the High Court straight away telling that this danger is there, and it's not taken very seriously. The High Court said that, well, this is at the place of residence that you are applying. I said, not my lawyer said, such precedents are there. This is the place where apprehend and arrest. But then a battery of lawyers come from Mumbai to support the prosecutors, all sent by the Catholic Church. And they advise, and the prosecutor argues that there is no apprehension of arrest. Thirdly, I should go to Mumbai, not in Delhi. All were taken. And another funny argument that I heard was, if I am arrested, for example, I will be more protected from the fanatics than living safely outside. Therefore, it would be wiser to keep me in prison. Of course, I've never been ever attacked, and then it was denied. My lawyers moved to Mumbai High Court suddenly, again to avoid the old legal process, and it was turned down there also. So I understood what was happening. Very clear that they want to put me in prison, and of course I started hearing about discussions in blogs and comments in the certain groups that we should get this guy at least one night in a prison and get a co-prisoner, stab him to death, and look after his family, the killer's family ever after. One night, and the way he has been laughing was so provocating, and he should be answered. Well, I understood what was happening, and I suddenly decided, till I get a bail, at least I should be out of the country. But meantime, in between these 2 bail applications, I've been really literally hiding. And of course, from the hiding place, I would go to a television channel and attend my evening television program, go back again into my hiding. I was very clever in that thing. And after that, I decided to move out of the country. And but I had a pre-decided lecture tour in Poland for 20 days. And I just came out of India 10 days before the date, and started living with my friends in Finland. Of course, meantime, the whole media supported me. Nearly 150 articles came in all major national newspapers, including the Hindu, the Hindustan Times, Times of India, everywhere. Not a single article supported the church. Not a single one. Every single article defended my right. The international media has been reporting it, Wall Street Journal and New York Times and Times, everywhere. Everybody defended my right to speak what I want. But Indian legal system did not see it like that. So I had to virtually run out of the country. And meantime, when I was in Poland giving lectures, I heard, without an arrest warrant, police has reached my apartment to arrest me. 3 days later, I heard that first time after last 4.5 months, we get a letter that I should go to the police station to get arrested. Well, this was happened when I was in India also. The police officer would call at midnight over my telephone and say that, come to Mumbai to get arrested. I said, for what? We have complaints against you. I said, what's the complaint? You said something bad in the television. I said, you can obtain a copy of it. That's the biggest evidence. And it's on the YouTube also, you can see it. No, but we want you to come here. And we want to really question you. And the question has a stressing. I understand what it means. Well, that's the situation. Now, I try to fight out the case. I don't want to remain in Europe. I want to go back to India. I want to continue the struggle there in India. But I want to see that there is an atmosphere back in India where such things are possible. That's possible only when there is mounting pressure of India to behave like a civilized country. That India is a secular nation is to be respected by the system there. There are very senior politicians privately talk to me that we understand the danger of the situation, we support you. But I don't see really political support coming up. But the media supports me, the intelligentsia supports me, the common man supports me. And that's the fight that's going on. Now I am in Europe. I've been in London last week. 2 days back I've been the index was, censor had been organizing a meeting. Now I'm here. After this I'll be going to Berlin, then I will go to Sweden, then to Copenhagen, then I come back and then I go to Spain. Later I'll be traveling to United States and Canada. I'm traveling across the world, speaking out, mobilizing public opinion so that we can defend reason, common sense and the struggle for civilization. Thank you.